Hello, following on with our flower theme, I'm going to teach you how to make a 12 petal flower that works into a granny square, which I know are very popular at the moment. So here's how we do it. Now we're going to combine the magic circle with a little trick that I have to make it a little easier. So we've got the end on the right and the running yarn on the left. We do a C shape, so we go around so that this is over the top of that one. You grab a little bit of the tail end, push it up through the middle of that loop that you did, and then pull. And now we have a magic loop, because when you pull the tail, it becomes smaller. That's the only difference between a magic circle and a slip knot. I'm going to use my 4mm hook for this one, and this is just an 8-ply yarn that you can get anywhere. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use this as the middle of our, let's call it a daisy with 12 petals. So not to get confused, I'm going to put a stitch marker in there so that we know where we're going. Okay, I'm going to flip it over to the running yarn side, which should be on your left. Now, don't worry if it's loose, because as we know, we can tighten it. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. I say 4, it looks like 3, but this is actually the first one. Now we're going to put another stitch marker in that top chain. When you put your stitch marker in, if you can manage to get it under 2 strands, it'll make it easier when you come around to join. So I'll try to show you in there, and then when you put it in, you've got 2 strands. It'll save getting that space that you may have got previously. It's just a little different, but not too hard. Put your hook back in. Now, using the running yarn end, we're going to go straight into this magic loop that we did at the beginning, and we're going to do a double crochet. We're going to count that as number 2. The chains that we did before will count as the first one. So that's 2, 3. So there's our first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. You can see that my hole in the middle is really loose. Don't panic. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to slip our hook into that chain that we did, and you'll notice that I've got the 2 strands on the top. Okay, pop that in there. Now I'm going to just cut this a little bit now, because I'm going to move on to using my white yarn with the tail on the right and the running yarn on the left. You're going to hook over the top like that. Hold both ends if you can. Slip that through that chain where your 3rd chain was up there at the beginning, and then slip it through the one on your hook. Now, to make sure that it doesn't get lost, what you do is pull that thread that you've just cut and just pull it nice and tight around around here, so it's nice and tight around the white. Hook back in, and I'm going to pull the yarn, the running yarn of my white stitch, and also a little bit of that so it doesn't show. Okay, give it a bit of a twist at the back so it doesn't get doesn't slip away. Now, as I've shown some of you, it's totally up to you. I'm going to work my threads at the back through my work. Now, as we did previously, we're going to do 1, 2, 3. Now, it's a little different to the other flower that we did, and I'll show you why in a moment. So, we're going to do an incomplete treble, yarn over, yarn over. We're going to go right into that space again where those 2 strands are, so you don't get a funny sort of a space. And I'm going to work over those tails. Yarn over, so you pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and leave it like that. That's an incomplete treble. Again, through here, so you've got 2 strands. I'm going to pull my tails over the top of the hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. You've got 3 left on your hook. Yarn over, yarn over. Pull through 2, pull through 2. Now you got 4 left. Now this is how we did it with the other one, but this is where it becomes a bit different if you want to do a daisy granny square. So you're going to pull that through the 4 like that. So you've got the 3 chains, or a pretend incomplete treble. 1, 2, 3. So we've only got 4 in total for this one. And you do a chain. Now we're not going to do those 3 chains down. Now we're going to be doing an extra incomplete treble. So we go yarn over, yarn over. Now 12 petals. So we need to go into every double crochet that we did in the first round. So there's where our stitch marker is. You can leave that in there. And again, we go under the 2. If you want, you can go in the back one, but for this, I prefer to go through the 2. So, through 2, through 2, and that's the first one done. Yarn over, through 2, through 2, we've got 2 there. Remember, we're going to do 4 because we haven't got those chains, so we're going to do an actual incomplete triple or treble. One, 2, 3. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your hook now. Yarn over and pull it through all of them. But you can see they look the same because, or very similar, because they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 little bits in them. 1, 2, 3, 4. We do a chain and go to the next petal. Yarn over, into here under those 2. Through 2, 2. So that's the first one. So I've worked my way around, and now I've got 11 petals. Before I get to the 12th, I'm just going to tidy things up a little bit. First of all, I'm going to take out that first stitch marker that marked the magic circle, and I'm gently going to pull, just let me find the right one, the tail that we started with, just to tighten that middle part. So you can see that as I pull, it will become, sorry, you can't really see it, but as you hold it down, you'll see that that middle part's got smaller. Okay, so just do that. Now, if you want to tie a knot now, it's probably the right time to do it. So I've tightened that yellow as much as I need to. As you can see, it's a nice size. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick that a friend of mine once showed me that will give you a flatter knot. So if you look at the left being the yellow and the white being the right, if you put right over left, pull that through, bring it down, and then left over right, which is always the white one, it'll give you a flatter knot than if you did them both from the same side. Okay, you can hardly see that. So now I'm gonna trim them down. Hopefully that will hold. Plus it's run through a couple of the stitches. Now, let's get back to, don't worry about that one just yet. We'll get to that later. So yarn over, we're going to go into the next top of the double crochet. It's 3, and that's 4. So no chains. Slip it through. Now I want to show you a nice neat way to finish off your work there, and then we can start with our new colour. Okay, so there's the 12th petal. I'm going to finish with a chain. Now take your hook out. You're going to go in through the back of your 3rd chain. 1, 2, 3. There it is there. Try to get 2 strands if you can. Put your loop on the hook. And then I'm just going to tighten a little bit. And then pull it through to the back. And there you've got a really nice, neat way of finishing. Don't panic if your petals curl, because that's going to all disappear. So I'm just going to leave that there for a minute. I'm going to take this stitch marker out. And show you that so far. Okay, now we're going to swap colours again. So I know I always tell you to change it when you're putting it through, but for this case I'm not going to. Some people actually finish off their white, cut it, finish it and start again. I'm not going to do that because I prefer to just keep going. So we do our 3 chains. Now if you want to be really clever, you could do the incomplete clusters that we've got like those, but just with 3. But for today I'm just going to do my normal 3 double crochets. There's 1, and that one counts as 2. I'll put my stitch marker in that top so that we know where we are. Again, if you can get it through 2 strands, it'll look better than 1, like that. So that's 2 and 3. Remember to go between the petals. So that's 3. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 chain, yarn over. Now we're going to do a corner. So we're going to go between the petals, and I'm actually going to put those yarns at the back there just to tuck them behind. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. 1, 2 double crochets, 3 double crochets. And I like to do 2 chains in each corner. yarn over, and we do that again because it's a corner. And then when we're moving on to another group of 3, cluster of 3, we just do 1 chain. So at the back you can see that I've worked those threads, the tails, through the back under there, and I'm just going to give that a little snip. I'm not even going to put a knot in it because it's the back, so you're not going to see it anyway. Okay, so now I've done the first cluster of 3, then the corner with 2 chains in between, so that when you're blocking it, 1 chain will go this way and 1 chain will go that way, so it gives you a nice corner. 3. Now we're going to do another group of 3 between those petals. 1, 2, and 3, and a chain. Now we're going into the corner again. We go under, between the petals and under that chain that we did when we were doing the petals. So we do a cluster of 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 2 chains. 1, 2, and then another 3 in between the same 2 petals. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, you can see it's starting to take shape. It looks a little round in the first round, but eventually it will square up, and you can see those petals standing out beautifully. So we've done our corner. We do 1 chain, and we're going to do 2 clusters of 3. So I've done from the beginning 1 cluster of 3, the corner, 2 clusters of 3, the corner, 2 clusters of 3, done that chain in between, and we're going to do a corner, which is 3 double crochets, and then 2 chains just for the corners, 3 if you like. It's totally up to you, but do more than 1. Okay, so you can see now my little daisy is looking pretty cute. Just give that a bit of a tug there. Okay, so we started with a cluster of 3, and one of those clusters was the 3 chains. Then we did 1 chain, group of 3, 2 chains, and we worked our way around, 2 clusters in between each corner. So now I'm at the end. Again, I want to show you, make sure you do your 3 double crochets, and make sure you do that chain that we always do in between. Okay, again I want to show you a better way to join. There it is there. We're going to put our hook through the back of that chain at the top of the 3, if I can get, and then I'm going to loop the stitch from the front, pull it back through. Okay, so I've pulled that through. Now we're just going to do our 3 chains as we normally do. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to keep that top one nice and loose so that I can get into it a bit easier next time. Again, try to get those 2 bits under rather than going through one side. Try to just turn it to the side and get through 2 like that. Keep it a little bit looser. Sorry, the left side of this space. So we're going to move to this space, and from now on the only time you ever go into a stitch is when you're doing that slip stitch. From now on you're just working into your chain spaces. So yarn over, we go into this space. Now don't worry if it looks a bit odd, that will become part of this cluster. 1, 2, and 3. and 1 chain. And now we're going in between there where the 2 chains are. If you can't see them clearly because your wool's thick or you're a bit of a tight crocheter, I really suggest you use stitch markers to mark the corners and the first stitch as I've done there. 2 chains in between, go back into that space, 1, 2 and 3. 1 chain, and just keep working around as you normally would for a granny square around, and I'll come back to you when I get to the end. Okay, so I've worked my way around and I'm back to the very beginning when we did those 3 chains and then went over to the next space. So what we do now is I've done my 3 double crochets in that last chain there and the chain. So we do 1 and 2, no chain. Then what we're going to do is we're going to slip our hook through the back of that 3rd chain. See there. So take it off the hook. Use your hook to get under there. Coming in from the back, put your hoop or your loop over the top and pull it through like that. And then you've finished. So we do a special little trick now. I'm just going to cut some of this off, cut off the tail, and to get it really neat, I'm going to put my hook back through that one just before, because I'm not continuing on, and pull that through there, and that'll give you a nice 3 together. Then what you do, this is a really secure way of finishing up. You go through as if you're going to do a chain, but hold on to that bit of yarn, pull through the whole lot, then get your tail and push it through from the front to the back in that bit that you were holding, and pull through, and it'll give you a nice secure knot at the back. All right, so there's your daisy. You can make it bigger or different colours or whatever you want to do. And then what you do at the very end, which is the part that everybody hates, including me, is you darn your ends in. Now, if you make a whole lot of those, you can put them together and make the most gorgeous blanket, which I did quite a few years ago. I made a great big one, which if I can find the photo, I will show you. So I like to work my way down as opposed to across. But don't ask me why, I just find it's easier and neater. So I'm just going to pull that through there. I'm not going to do a knot because I've got a knot up here. So I'm just going to trim that edge. Unfortunately, yes, we do have to do a little bit of darning at the end of some work, and I'm going to do it with this one.